Easy, Tiger. Good work. Done a good job.
Am I in frame?
Maybe.
So yeah, we immediately start off the bat with this sequence of Trinity evading the agents, and yeah, it shows the tone, the style, it's tense, interesting angles and framing techniques.
It's made up of all the elements that will go forward and we'll see constantly in the movie.
It establishes itself perfectly and you're in.
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
Like, what is going on here?
Straight into a premise, right?
Yeah. This looks interesting, it looks different. She picks up the phone and then she's gone and you're like, what? They're doing the high jumps and you're like, okay, I'm in!
Well, we get bullet time, right? Within the first fucking, 5 minutes of it.
And yeah, we should talk about the fact that this movie is like 22 years old.
Well, all I can think of when I'm watching it in retrospect is how much it furthered things like bullet time, right?
Yeah.
Like it advanced the movie making and advanced movie making single-handedly.
It's spawned generations of rip-offs and homages.
Would we see a movie like 300?
No.
Right? Without fucking The Matrix.
No.
Right? No.
I wouldn't see... there was like a decade of films which, was paying homage to The Matrix. And a decade of films which was just ripping it off poorly.
You know?
It inspired so much.
Yeah. Yeah, you can gush endlessly about the technical proficiency of this movie.
Yeah, and all those bullet time sequences, they were on like a green screen and they had like a bunch of cameras
and it would go around, I remember.
And all the background is like CGI.
Yeah.
And I never noticed as a kid at all. It just, like some of the CGI is a bit
Yeah.
But a lot of it is still fucking great.
It's still
2 decades later.
It's the same with any movie, right? It is good enough that it will be that it's seamless forever and ever and ever, right? There's never going to be a point in time where you go, that's really dated, you know?
Yeah, and that's the thing with practical effects and sets and all that. Like, that never ages. That is always just going to look how it looks, because it's real.
There's so much practical effects in this, it's unbelievable, right? And, that's always going to be the thing, right? When you've got the practical effects to sort of take the edge off the CGI a little bit. Right?
Well, CGI used to be like used as a tool.
Yeah.
You'd use it only for stuff that you couldn't do practically. It's like right at the end when the helicopter crashes into the building, like that was a little model that they fucking smashed
really?
in. The glass exploding out, they set off all charges to like go off at different times to make
they actually exploded the building? It was a little...
A facade?
Oh yeah, it's a miniature. Yeah.
A helicopter like this big, and then it was just a pane of glass, and they just set charges off to make
Did they the ripples CGI?
The ripples are CGI. Yeah, it's just like nowadays, like the helicopter would be CGI, the explosion would be CGI. Fucking, I hate blood splatters in CGI and fucking explosions.
Yeah.
Like, why not just do like a little fucking squib or like just a bottle of fucking gasoline in a match?
Well,
it doesn't look fucking right.
We watched. I watched Django Unchained again the other day. You get spoiled by the sort of practical blood splurts, right?
And those ones are fucking ridiculous and over the top.
But it looks real.
It looks There's so many movies, a few good ones actually, where all the blood splatters are CGI and they just don't get it right. It's so hard to fucking. Because it's so like random and there's so much going on that's just like completely random. And for the human eye and hand to try to do that.
You can see it, right?
Yeah.
And that's
eventually it'll fucking get there.
Oh yeah, well it's probably almost there now.
Yeah,
right?
probably.
But the point is that when you've got so much CGI, right? You're doing so much CGI. It just I can imagine like a bunch of CGI monkeys in a fucking thing. Right? You lose perspective on the the way that it matches the background and the way that it blends with all the stuff that's real, right?
And instead of becoming a tool, we just do everything in it.
Yeah.
So we don't have to actually film anything anymore. becomes a crutch.
It becomes a crutch, and you know everybody's spoken about that. It's just a cardinal sin, right? And you watch something like this and you go, my fucking god, right? It's just unbelievable. But then you know you watch the next ones, and even they had a bunch of practical effects in them. But even then,
I think the second one had far more CGI than the third one had even more CGI.
And you know that could just be down to the fact that they'd gotten better at the CGI,
and they had more fucking money, and they were trying to do more ridiculous antics and
what gets
scenes.
Me, the thing that I thought about is who the hell funded this? Who the hell gave these people? Because it must have cost a hell of a lot of money.
Yeah, so it was like $200 million. And the Wachowski brothers, I watched, there's like a fucking 3-hour documentaries on the making of this film just on YouTube. It's fucking fascinating. Yeah, basically Warner Brothers just like took a fucking chance, and it was their second film ever. They were writing it, they were directing it, and it's just like far out crazy, insane, odd, just cerebral and body horror and sci-fi. And Warner Brothers, basically the execs were like, we don't know what the fuck this is, we don't understand it or get it, but we know it's something, and we're gonna give you a fucking chance.
Might as well just do it. Go all in.
Part of the filming in Sydney was, one, it'd be cheaper, and two, like they were over the other side of the world, so the execs weren't like watching the dailies.
That's
and fucking
funny.
So they were like, let's go to Sydney and film this.
Get away from it. That's great. I like that.
It's just the classic like roll the dice, and it's one of the greatest movies of all fucking time. It just paid off. No studio interference, no fucking notes. Well, there were, but they're the classic directors that fought back and said, you know, why do you need this scene? Well, because we
because we need it. You know what? We've lost the art of rolling the dice.
Yes.
Like just rolling it and letting it go, right, and seeing what happens.
And sometimes that's a miserable failure.
Oh yeah.
We'll lose.
But in the way we function now, we've got far more miserable failures, AAA failures, I think, than you would otherwise, right?
Yeah. Well, if you get a committee to like 40 people to fucking paint an oil painting of fucking a landscape, like it's not going to be good.
No, that's it.
It's always the artist's single vision that's more interesting and obscure and coming from different angles. The committee, they just generify it.
Well, you'd never get a movie like this.
No.
Or very rarely.
Yeah, rewatching it now because
it's horrifying. It's a fucking horrifying.
Yeah, everyone always talks about like, you know, the kung fu and the anime and the cyberpunk, but there's so many body horror moments.
It's a horror movie. It is in fact a horror movie.
The scene with the mouth, or his mouth closes up,
the little
belly button
thing,
and it's played like a horror movie. It's got the stings and the fucking shock.
The scoring in this is the one thing that really sort of elevates this movie. Like everything is technically, I want to say perfect or 90% perfect, like from a technical perspective.
Almost the perfect movie.
Right, but the score really just is phenomenal.
Yeah, going back, because it's hard to kind of separate yourself from the Matrix, because it is so big and it is so iconic, and like, watch it 1,000 fucking times as a kid. I remember, taping it off Channel 9, so like the 9 logo is still kind of down in the corner for me. I watched it so many fucking times. And I would love to not know anything about it and just sit down and watch it for the first time and just imagine like it melting your fucking brain.
Well, again, you know, it's interesting actually. It's kind of like Alien, right? I can imagine people going and seeing, you know, there were like The Thing and all that sort of stuff. So body horror was still a thing, but there's sort of like the cyberpunk-esque like existential crisis type of horror.
It'd never been executed at such a high level. Same with Alien, and it's like B-schlock has always existed, and even like some of the core concepts like the archetypical hero's journey and the Jesus mythology and the AI destroying society, like that's all there.
Terminator.
Like, B science fiction for fucking decades and decades. But it's just all the little details and just the perfect execution and then combining those elements and just the care and the love, like just the way it's shot and all the angles and everything. That really, the first half of the movie, it keeps on rolling on and just scene after scene.
Escalating.
The scene where he wakes up is just like one of the greatest scenes ever.
Haunt you haunt you for the rest of your goddamn life, right?
touches the mirror, and even like all that was missing from the sequels, right? Like he touches the mirror, and they don't explain it. They don't need to sit down and go, well, blah 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 blah. It's just like some body horror, weird, odd moment.
It just is because it is, right?
Yeah, it
this
goes
is
down his mouth, and it's like, and
it does that cool translation into the where he's waking up in the pod, right?
And all that was fucking like. Obviously, there's big, wide CGI shots. But, like, the pod.
The pod is like...
practical.
He wakes up in a pot of goo, right?
Yeah. And fucking Keanu Reeves fucking lost, like, 15 kilos and shaved all his body hair. And it's just... going back and rewatching it, it's just like, this is fucking incredible.
He's going into arrest.
Lock, I got him. Now, Tanks, now.
Well, another interesting, again, about technical proficiency is, so they've got a wide range, a big cast of characters, like side characters or whatever. Yeah. And it's so, you see it so many times how they could all just get lost. Right, you just don't give a shit because but we have like the classic banter table eating at a table scene, right, which is such a classic Alien, right,
introducing the audience to all the characters,
right, they're all having little backwards and forwards, and all the little bits from all the side characters means that when they all die eventually, which again, like Alien, right, you care,
there are stakes,
yeah,
all the crew or half of the crew just fucking get the plug pulled on them.
Done,
And it doesn't take long at all to set up the characters. It's like Joey Pants, I believe his name is, who plays fucking Cypher. Also Ralphie in The Sopranos, which is one of the all-time great antagonists in The Sopranos for Tony to butt heads with. Yeah, there's like, he's in a few shots, and then there's a scene when Neo walks over to him and talks to him.
Oh.
It's just, he's slimy and he's greasy.
But that's such a great scene.
And it's just like, the writing and then he's acting, and just immediately sets him up.
Well, even
I get the archetype.
He's tells
Dr. Ewing.
He tells Neo, right? Basically tells him what his motivations are.
Yeah,
right?
Starts playing mind games with him. He's like, did he tell you you're the chosen one? Oh my god, what a head fuck.
Did he tell you why he did it? Why you're here? Jesus. What a mind job. So you're here to save the world.
Yeah, and then like fucking Hugo Weaving, his first scene, like straight up, you get it, you understand it, and that voice he does, it's like a weird, like neutral news reporter,
Mr. Anderson,
robotic yet human. It's perfect.
It's always a pleasure watching Hugo Weaving.
Yeah, the
always
cast.
a pleasure.
Cast is amazing.
Well, Laurence Fishburne and bloody, Keanu Reeves.
His first scene with Morpheus, you're like, I get it. I get the archetype. You're pulling it off.
And that speaks volumes because you see Keanu Reeves and Laurence Fishburne in bloody John Wick, right?
Yeah.
And it's the same, they have the same sort of chemistry there as well.
Just to see them two on camera, it's like, oh, I know you guys. Laurence Fishburne is fat as shit now. But that's alright, we all let ourselves
we still love him. It's just this movie is, again, like, I'm the same as you, I've seen it like 1,000 times, but it's been a while since I watched it last, and the impact, it's like we'd be moving on to the next sequence, and I'd say to you, oh yeah, here comes that sequence. Yeah. But that never ended, right?
The first fucking... Yeah, well, I guess the whole movie, really, yeah.
It's just full of iconic sequences.
My notes are just like, oh my god, this scene is so fucking crazy and off the wall and impactful and horrifying. Oh my god, this scene is so crazy and horrible. Then the next scene and the next scene. It keeps on rolling on.
It's funny, the wire work in this, the Kung Fu, is so much better and more elegantly executed than in Reloaded and Revolutions. Right?
Yeah,
now it's fine. I've kind of warmed up a bit back again to those movies as time went on. Maybe nostalgia or whatever.
Yeah.
But it was so much more like caricature of what it originally was in those movies. Like the wire work is so much more. I can't think of the word.
Yeah, I know. It's just like gritty and like more humanized. Like you're more involved. Like the final fight scene between Neo and Agent Smith in this film is like so much better than the final one in the third film.
Yeah.
Like, it's all CGI and they're bouncing around.
It's bloody Man of Steel, right?
Yeah. It's just like, you're out of it. You're not emotionally invested in the characters.
That subway scene is just...
Yeah. And on that, like, 2-hour making-of documentary, all the cast, for, like, 4 months, like, 5 days a week, they got Jong Woo or some guy.
Yeah.
Famous fucking kung fu choreographer. And like, they just taught them every fucking move. And all the wire work and stuff. There's one scene in that final, like, courtyard shootout. You know, the iconic, like, techno. Dum, 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 dum.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Where, Carrie-Anne Moss, the chick who plays Trinity, like, she runs up a wall and then, like, she does a flip and lands back. And like, she just did, like 40 times just trying to get the take right. Oh, there's a scene where Keanu Reeves and Morpheus, their first fight in like the dojo. Yeah, he jumps up and he does 4 kicks. Like, it was the actual actors.
Yeah. Well, that's again, right.
And instead of getting stuntmen, they taught them the choreography for 4 fucking months.
In the dojo scene when they first clash, right, where Neo runs towards Laurence Fishburne, there's no awkward cut behind them. The fact that it's a stunt person.
You can see the actors'
It's
faces.
just fucking Keanu Reeves.
And they're just like going for it. Like, it's up there with fucking like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and all the classic kung fu because they got the guy right.
Yeah, that's it.
And then they got 4 months, like more than a fucking quarter of a year.
Yeah, no, it's a perfectly suitable fucking recreation of the Eastern Asian wire work
so
stuff.
Weird
right?
once you get to that point too, because there's been so much like high concept sci-fi and body horror.
It's like, we're doing this
and then
now.
it's kung fu, and you're like, wait, what? No, my brain is already gonna fucking explode.
I don't know. I'm sure there's like mangas and stuff that explored those elements, right? But the blending of those elements in this just feels so. It is iconic, right? And it is perfect, right?
Yeah.
In retrospect, it's exactly matches perfectly,
Yeah. They gave the studio executives Ghost in the Shell as well. Script. And like, we want to make this but live action.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of shots that are mirrored from the final fight with the Major and that fucking courtyard fight.
With the tank?
Yeah. There's a few like mirrored shots, and with all the wire work and stuff, they were going for like anime angles and stuff.
Which it totally
trying to cut it like an anime.
Watching it is exactly like that.
Yeah.
You watch enough anime and go, oh yeah, I'm familiar with this, right?
Yeah, for sure. I think the concept too, it's hard once again to take yourself out of the fucking like zeitgeist, because this has just leaped into the zeitgeist. Like the red blue
pill
like,
thing.
That's part of like
there is
the
no
language
spoon.
now. Yeah.
There'd be memes where he's like dodging or whatever. Oh, me dodging my responsibilities. Woo,
Yeah, it's just leached into not only like film culture, but culture and language.
Culture.
And like the red pill is like a term for waking up and becoming aware of some big overarching conspiracy now.
Look, the only thing in retrospect that's funny and maybe lets down the movie is the metaphorical themes are very shallow.
Yeah.
Right, and a lot of it's very meaningless.
Yeah.
Now it's fine, right, in like a sort of like, and this movie is kind of schlocky.
Oh, absolutely.
Very, but
with
in
the
a good way.
techno and the jumping around, and even the trench coats and the leather and all that is like. But I'm not sure how it would have been at the time. I think it's.
Yeah, no, it would have been cool at the time. Yeah. Right?
But then everyone copied it, and then because everyone copied it, then it became lame and
cliche.
Edgy and
It's like Blade, right? Blade is a great movie and suffers the exact same thing. Leather trench coats and all this sort of, but it is a great movie. Right? The themes themselves are just. It's fine for this movie. Totally works. You don't have to think about it. Don't think about it. Right? They're all very easy to understand themes, right? But they're very shallow in retrospect.
And it's great in this how they barely touch on it. It's in the second one where they start sitting down,
trying to flesh it out, but there's nothing to flesh out. Right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, the simulation theory is a great fucking concept, and I'm sure 20 years ago it would have been far more mind-blowing to the average fucking person. And then, it's just got like a basic Christianity, Jesus metaphor over
Jesus
the top of
complex stuff.
Which is, your basic archetypical hero's journey, which has been in every fucking story ever told for fucking 10,000 years.
Mind over matter, and, all that, there is no spoon, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. It works.
It works for this movie.
Yeah, it's just in the second one where they sit down and they start talking about determinism for fucking 40 minutes.
It has been determined that you would come here, like in the, I guess that's in the third one or wherever, where he goes to the room with the architect.
Yeah,
so
they stop actually having events transpire and just start...
Stop! Everybody stop and explain and start talking about fucking determinism and trying to write our way out of the fucking mess that we're in.
Yeah. So I think it's fine in this one, just sprinkled in briefly. And I like the simulation thing. It's become so, just common knowledge and stuff now, but back in the day, I'm sure like old Jim Blow moviegoer not into fucking any of that stuff would have sat down and gone, is all this fucking real?
Yeah, are we innocent? So the simulation and being a slave and stuff is allegory for, working the 9-to-5 job and being in a rat race or whatever, and so your average Joe Blow can relate to that, which is interesting.
And you see Neo at the beginning in the suit that doesn't fit and he's awkward and he's fucking forced to work for this suit and tie.
In his little cubicle. Yeah.
All that fucking jazz, and he breaks free, Steve.
He breaks free from the
fights
machine.
the machine.
But it's funny.
It's all a vehicle for the fucking scenes.
As long as that's all it ever is, it's perfect.
Yeah.
Right?
And all the fucking the fields of the humans getting thrown and stuff. That stuff is so fucking brutal and hectic and amazing.
Well,
insane.
so that the original premise was not that they were used as batteries, but they were used, humans' brains were used as computer processors to help process. But then the exec said, oh no, people won't understand what that means. No. Because the battery thing doesn't make any fucking sense.
It's like... They say it's like a 9-volt battery or something. And you can use fucking water power or fucking the heat from the earth.
Literally anything.
They tried to cover it up with the sun is gone and we can't get solar power, but there's nuclear fission and all that.
Geo fucking fissure stuff and etc. No, so it's funny, right? But again,
I guess the machines are flawed, right? And they're using this horribly inefficient this fucking way to make energy.
The human body generates more bioelectricity than a 120-volt battery and over 25,000 BTUs of body heat.
But again, at the end of the day, it's in service to the everything else. Right?
Yeah, when you see it, it looks fucking incredible.
Realize seeing whose fucking nightmarish fever dream became realised in that those CGI scenes or those fucking Jesus Christ. It's like people might have been horrified by the Terminator 2 intro sequence where it's stepping on the skull. This is that.
Terminator shows a Terminator stepping on a skull. This shows a little tiny baby with tubes coming out of it in a pod getting filled up. And they talk about liquefying
liquefying all the dead.
Using that as the...
It just goes on and on and on.
That scene where fucking Neo wakes up too and he pulls out the pipe and when they all start popping off down his spine... That still gets me,
Or he grabs the thing, thing to feel it behind him.
Body horror. The sequels lost the body horror completely. Yeah. There's zero body horror.
It's funny. You'd think that there would be more dealing with that, right?
Yeah, it just seems to be an element that for whatever reason they just didn't go with.
It's like a whole aspect of the sort of world building that they set up is dealing with the imprisoned humans in the real world.
Yeah.
Which is at the farms, right? They just... That's all gone. Now, that's fine, whatever, right? It's, they picked whichever aspects they wanted to do.
Yeah.
But seeing this now again and thinking about it and being like, man, I wouldn't mind some more of this body horror.
Yeah, going back for me, my favourite scenes were like the scene where his mouth fused up and the thing in
What's
the belly
the use
button,
of a phone call if
and
you're
the mirror,
unable to
him touching the mirror. Like, they were some of my favourite elements, and obviously him waking up and the fields and all that. Like, the Kung Fu was obviously amazing.
Yeah.
And I'm a big, Tarantino fan, and all those Kung Fu movies are amazing, and, you know, car chases and boring discussions about determinism. It's all great. But yeah, I don't know. I never really thought about it before, but they just completely lost the body horror elements for whatever reason.
Which really sucks, you know, because I'm a big horror fan. I love horror movies. And, you know, there are so many bad horror movies, right?
Yeah.
And this is horror. This is horror held up by its own merits, no tropes of horror, right? It's horror. It's horrifying because of the premise and the way that the premise is executed.
Yeah, and the way they film it and cut it, and the music stings and all that. Even when they first plug him in, like cuts to like a bird's eye view of his face, and it's like,
and you can sort of feel that in like your brain.
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
I haven't watched the sequels for a while, but I imagine by the end they're just plugging in like.
Yeah. There's no.
And I guess you can't do that every time they plug it in.
It's like the Stargate.
Yeah,
traveling through the Stargate. Oh no, we'll just get rid of that.
We'll just simplify it.
Well, the sequels. I want to rewatch the sequels again. I've watched them a fucking lot, right?
Yeah, we should go through them and see what happens.
But they are good.
It's interesting.
I hated them because
they weren't this. It's like they're not. Well, I'm sure my opinion will change when I go back and rewatch them and write my notes and we sit down and talk about them and stuff. But I think the problem is like this is one of the greatest movies ever made in the history of film.
Yeah.
And then they come out and they're not that.
No, they're
Maybe they're good.
They are good.
But after this, like, your expectations are fucking here.
They're
and then they're like, that wasn't good.
What is this?
They're not. I don't think the second one's a dumpster fire. The third one
is a dumpster fire.
Yeah.
But has a lot. But basically, if you can ignore the fact, like story-wise, it's a dumpster fire. That's kind of the main issue, right?
Yeah.
Story-wise, they're dumpster fires. But if you can ignore that, there's some really cool fucking sequences in it.
Yeah.
The second one is more kung fu. That's a kung fu movie.
Yeah.
Right? That's what that is, right? An action sequence movie.
I think if the second one just had been what it was, and then if the third one was really good, it would have been a good trilogy.
It would have been an excellent trilogy.
But it just went.
By the time you get to the third one, you
Matrix
go, okay,
4?
let's. I keep forgetting them. Matrix this year, right? It's like October or
something. That's what we're
something.
leading up to, Steve. It's December.
Oh God.
So yeah, it's just like it's just steps.
Yeah. It just
Matrix,
steps down.
Reloading,
Steps down into hell.
Revolutions, whatever the fuck the fourth one's called. The story of the descending quality of the Matrix sequel.
It just the issue was that they focused on the one and all that crap.
Yeah.
That didn't need to be a thing. They didn't need to keep going with that, right?
Like, how many stories are the archetypical hero's journey? Like the Chosen One from Star Wars and Doom.
And so many of them are done way better.
Yeah.
Right, then...
I'll be interested to see if I can, like, pinpoint what went wrong. Because something went wrong.
I think, like the first one was lightning in a bottle.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
It's just one of those, movies that just comes together.
And I think it was experimental.
Yeah.
Like, because there are so many elements that shouldn't fit. Like, there's so many, like, how many different aspects of movies are there in this movie?
Oh man, it's crazy.
Body horror, sci-fi, existentialism, cyberpunk, kung fu,
anime, noir.
Right, and so instead of going, okay, we found a way to put all these elements together and make it work, they go, okay, we want to do these elements, right, and then we're going to do it with big action scenes and rush and they've locked themselves into a corner writing wise because now Neo can fly or whatever.
Yeah, well that's a big thing too. He should have like peaked at that point at the third one rather than the end of this one. He's flying around like Superman. He kind of like
stopping bullets is great. Right? But being able to fly around, that tells you, okay, well he can do all this other stuff.
He's reached max power, so there's little investment because there's no suspense.
There's no stakes.
He's not gonna fucking die.
No one's dying. Yeah.
He never. I mean, he fights Agent Smith at the end of the third one. It's been so long since I watched it, but
the stakes.
I'm sure like there's no like emotional investment. He just like,
I'm watching a thing and this is cool and that's cool, but this is stupid. Well, the stakes in the next two movies, and it is specifically because of the power creep of our main protagonist.
Yeah.
Is the existentialism. That's the stakes, right? That's why they have to go, you have to make a decision. So the decision is the stakes. Like, because we know he, like in the third one, we know he can save Trinity.
Yeah.
Right? But he has to sacrifice humanity to do it.
Yeah. Then he has to sit around and talk about whether he can actually control any of his actions.
Yeah, does he actually have a choice to do it? Blah, 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 blah. We're getting on.
So yeah, basically in conclusion, if you haven't watched this movie for a while, try to sit down and like take yourself away from the whole pulp culture and all that impact and it influencing everything. And yeah, it rolls on amazing scene after amazing scene, and it kind of combines everything that I love.
Yes.
Amazing actors, it looks beautiful, it's high concept sci-fi.
In retrospect, knowing the things that I love now and having watched that as a kid, right, that directly influenced everything that I love now.
For sure. Yeah.
You know, straight up. So I hold it up there with like Alien.
Yeah.
Easily. You know?
And it's funny because the sequels have brought it down so much. Like, you bring up the Matrix movies now, people are like,
Yeah, no, I've watched all those. It's just noise.
Yeah,
like, you think about it and you go, it's just a bunch of noise, right? But it's not.
So yeah, the sequels really did drag this one down into the mud, and just like, people got so bored and tired with it so quick. There's like,
well, you can't help not think about them when you watch the movie.
Yeah,
I mean, you
same
just
with
gotta...
fucking like Game of Thrones.
Oh
it's
yeah.
Like fucking.
I'm probably never gonna go back and rewatch
soiled
it.
Its pants.
So go back and just ignore just try and put that out of your mind and watch the damn thing, because
that first hour is incredible with all the body horror and the tubes and the waking up and everything and the kung fu. Just watch them. It's like Laurence Fishburne and Keanu Reeves. That's another thing we need to discuss. Keanu Reeves. I know you're a big fan, but everybody is like, he's just an emotionless robot. And this is a cheap 2D Jesus metaphor with no character depth.
Okay. So, right. I get it. Right? Now, there's an explanation that's posited that I don't necessarily subscribe to, but I thought it was interesting. I'll bring that up first, right?
Yeah.
That even if the flat acting is not deliberate, right, what it does is allows a vessel for the viewer.
Yeah.
Right? You can sort of impose it. Now, I don't necessarily agree with that. I get it. I watch him and I go, yeah, okay, I can see what people are saying, right? But I don't feel that way when I watch it. I'm like, you know, he's like, he talks like this, you know, that's fine.
Yeah.
It seems perfectly fine to me.
Yeah, it works in the context of this film.
John Wick and Neo in the Matrix.
Yeah.
Perfect. You know, I have no complaints about his ability to act in those, the role that he needs to do.
Yeah, I don't know, it kind of works with this guy, right? He's just like so fucking unbothered by fucking everything. He's got like this nightmare going on and this fucking like hero prodigy prophecy put on his shoulders, and he's just like,
yeah, I know what I need to do.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, you know, I like it. It's cool.
It's better than him complaining and whinging and bitching.
Oh yeah, well you can have one. I mean, you could have
Anakin. Fuck, I'll take dead and emotionless over fucking whingy and bitchy.
Out of the spectrum of fucking like actors, I'll take Keanu.
Flat or horribly irritating.
Yeah, you know, I get it. So what I think the crux is, people want. It's like watching the first Die Hard and then watching Bruce Willis's modern movies, right? In Die Hard 1, he's all fucked up.
Doesn't give a fuck.
He's like, you know, he's fucking, you know, like he's covered in blood and he's all fucked up and he's sweating and he's fucking swearing, you know, all that sort of stuff. And then in the modern movies, he's just
standing around.
a nothing, right? A flat sort of actor.
Keanu Reeves isn't being lazy. He's doing a thing. He's going for something. It's just not, like a traditional dramatic performance. It's weird.
I wouldn't say he feels like a real person.
Right? It's weird. But it's not laziness for sure.
No.
I mean, he lost like 15 fucking pounds to go in the fucking pod. He obviously gives a fuck.
Well, it's like the John Wick movies. He fucking does all the gun training. Right? To be able to... And it looks great, right? Him running around and you can see that is a person who knows how to handle a gun.
Yeah, doesn't cut to some Asian guy with a similar wig who's completely different.
Bang, bang. It's like tactical shooting. It looks great. Yeah. That's what I like.
And the same with this, with all the kung fu stuff.
He's putting the effort in. If you can't empathise with him as a character, neither can I, because he's not really a character.
And there aren't a lot of character moments with him, really. There's so much going on. There's there's the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And yeah, he is just kind of, an empty protagonist just for you to view this fucking crazy world.
I can empathise with the situation that he's put in. Right, I can say, how will I react if I was in that scene? It's not how he would react, or he is reacting.
I'd have a lot more
constant screaming.
Yeah, you are the chosen one.
There's a meme where it's like, and as he wakes, so the screaming begins again. And that would just be me, just constantly screaming.
He's been woken out of the mundane office life into fucking nightmare fuel upon nightmare fuel. It's like, can I go back to the boring office job, please?
Yeah, I'm done.
Yeah, that's another thing with fucking sci-fi. It's like, I get it.
Yeah, actually, he's probably the most
realistic,
the most empathizable character.
Trinity's like, I love you. Morpheus is like, I have to find the prodigy.
You know, defeat and
the prodigy's just like, okay.
And Cypher's like, this is fucking
what the
bullshit.
fuck are you people talking about?
You're all fucking crazy. Yeah, so he's the most relatable character.
Yeah, he's the human. The rest are fucking...
Which, again...
2D archetypes.
His inclusion... sort of is necessary for the movie.
That adds so much to it. And once again, it's like the archetypical fucking betrayer. Like the Dr. Huey, the Hamlet, Macbeth. It's in everything.
Why, oh why didn't I take the blue pill?
I love too. Also, we need to talk about the guru wizard archetype in this. How they just subvert it with like the middle-aged African American.
I like it. Yeah. It's fucking. It's like
a different spin.
Yeah.
And what if Gandalf was just some lady in a kitchen?
Just some lady. Yeah.
Cookies, and she just talks normal.
Like your mother. If Gandalf was like your mother or whatever, right?
It's just the base archetypical stereotype and just subverting it a bit, and it working perfectly.
Yeah.
Here. Take a cookie. I promise by the time you're done eating it, you'll feel right as rain.
I think the sort of existential fate stuff with her was the best of it, right? Like the vase thing, or the vase thing. That's great. I like it. You know, what's really gonna bake your noodle later? Would you have broken it if I told you? And it's like, that's a fucking good question.
Yeah. Once they start delving deeper, it's like, is this a fucking action movie or is this a Sam Harris podcast?
When you didn't need an explanation as to why she's an oracle and why she knew he was going to break the vase and all that sort of stuff. You didn't need any of that. And then once we got to that, it's like, oh, well, it's because she's lived through 7 matrices and she knows the things. And it's like, oh, I don't
The patterns are repeating and Neo is just going through the motions. But
then the patterns aren't repeating because they don't repeat. Because
and then he destroys the Matrix.
But he doesn't.
They just live in a hellscape.
I don't know.
I don't remember what happened.
Yeah. So
we'll get there.
Okay. Yeah, I remember. I know because I'm interested.
I always drift off, eh? Like I've sat down to watch the Matrix trilogy so many times, and by the end of the 3rd movie, I'm just like, I'm on my computer or it's playing while I'm
that's because it's noise.
House.
It's just noise.
Which is so sad.
After the only thing that really draws me in is watching the Animatrix. That's the thing that draws me into wanting to know more about the world building.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like it's the Matrix and the Animatrix. The other stuff's just noise. It doesn't really do anything for me. Right, but that stuff, and so I've researched what other material is there about what's going on. It's not very much at all.
Yeah, sure.
Right, so if we're getting a 4th movie, and this is not going to happen, I'd love it if there was some more world building, right? Some more exploration of this really cool, fucked up world that we're in.
It's so weird that they solved the big fucking overarching problem. I know they're just gonna be like, well, there's another problem, which.
Well, I know what was canon before this movie's coming out because they had a Matrix Online game. right? And so I know what the events were
that's
afterward.
Like highly regarded and considered to be canon. I've heard like buzz on that.
Well, the humans built another city, but in a place that's impenetrable to fucking invasion, basically, and all this sort of stuff. And so it's more like a political drama where the Matrix still exists. Right, but it's like a da-da-da-da-da. Yeah, it's more political
becomes
intrigue.
Like a drug and stuff, and people use it for sex, and
they're
not enslaved by it anymore. It's like an aspect of society.
So it's interesting. That would be way more interesting to explore, like an interfactional conflict. Yeah. Right, rather than
whatever's going to happen. Did the Wachowski brothers/sisters have anything to do with the video game narrative?
I'm not sure. Probably. They probably consulted. I mean, this is all their stuff, right? Yeah. Like, this is all their brainchild, is it not?
Yeah, absolutely.
Though I don't know whether they even consulted with the Animatrix, because that, like, they've got all the sequences, and they're basically, most of them are explaining what was happening before the first movie, right?
Yeah.
At whatever point in time. So I don't know whether or not the sisters had anything to do with that either.
Yeah, it's interesting to know whether they planned out the whole universe, and if they're just gonna scrap that fucking canon completely, or if maybe they might go after that.
I mean, that would be, again, like, that would be interesting. We can't, but again, like, Keanu Reeves is gonna be in it, and so Trinity, and all that sort of stuff, and it's like, well, they're done, like, their arc is done. Right?
Yeah.
Like, they had their arc, did they not?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's done. It's finished.
Now something else?
I mean, Hugo Weaving's not coming back, is he?
I heard a rumour that they tried to get him, but they couldn't get him.
What would he even do?
Yeah, it doesn't make any fucking sense. It's like having Lurtz in the Two Towers after he died in Fellowship. He's Lurtz. He killed Boromir. He's back. But he died. Yeah, but he's back.
Yeah, there he is.
You need to have Hugo Weaving in it. You need to have Laurence Fishburne. You need to have Keanu Reeves.
Hugo Weaving just needs to be the central character, the central protagonist.
I don't know. We'll see.
It's gonna be schlocky bullshit. We know it's gonna be schlocky bullshit.
That's 4 clear and concise drops. So in conclusion, The Matrix is amazing.
Obviously. I think everybody's forgotten that it's amazing.
Yeah.
I know I had kind of, there was a point in time where I'd sort of forgotten.
It's the watching it 1,000 times that doesn't help. It's the fucking getting all the rip-offs and the homages which dilute its originality, and then it's the piss poor sequels. It's the trifecta of, well, this is dead to us.
Yeah, no, we don't care about this anymore. It's like, well, no, it's fucking amazing.
In a perfect world, I would never have watched it until tonight, and the sequels didn't exist.
Yeah.
Go, what the fuck is this? In the 90s, before fucking AI and simulation theory and all that had been like popularized and more spoken about by the average person.
It's like its level of like horrifyingness is on the level of like The Thing.
Yeah, that's what surprised me the most, the body horror elements. No one ever talks about them. No. And they just disappeared. Yeah. But they're there, and they're fucking brilliant. And for me, that's the best parts of the movie, that first hour. The fight is amazing in the fucking subway station.
And it's seamless.
And the helicopter, that's great. But yeah, the body horror is really like the wow.
No,
this is crazy.
Blows your fucking mind.
No. See you later!
Oh, shit.